Hi, I'm Brandon Bodine.
I'm Nate Sobotta.
Hi, I'm Zack Zaragoza. I got my buddy Jaden Sawyer right over here on the video camera. This is the history of bridges.
To begin, we're going to talk about the first bridges. The first bridges were made by Mother Nature herself, and they were simply just a tree that had conveniently fallen over a stream or river, allowing for someone to cross over. The next example is going to be of man-made bridges, and those were bridges that they would take stones and place in a pattern so they were able to cross that stream, and they would also use wood planks together so they could cross the bridge, and those wood planks would always rot away so they would never have a bridge that long. Now the Romans, who were back in the old days by far the most advanced in building methods of bridges because they used an arc technique. That arc technique allowed them to create bridges that were so strong and durable they would even be able to hold as much weight as the bridge itself, and as you can see they're still standing today. The safety back in the day was not that well looked after because they had no codes or requirements to build the bridges. They were just built. Many bridges were constructed to carry more weight, less weight than it's intended. So many people would be just crossing those bridges with a lot of weight, and they would end up collapsing, and as a result, fatalities would occur.
So I'm here to talk to you about the first iron bridge. It's located in Coalbrookdale, England. The history of Coalbrookdale is that it is one of the major birthplaces of industrial movement in England. This place was located near a lot of coal deposits and natural resources, and that helped it become, obviously one of the birthstones of England's industrial movement. With the help of Abraham Darby, obviously Coalbrookdale would become a birthplace of the first iron bridge. So a little bit about Abraham Darby. He had a hunch and grew into a huge success. Basically, he leased a charcoal furnace and experimented with coke, which is partially burnt coal that has removed impurities such as sulfur and other impurities. And he would succeed by smelting iron with the coal, the charcoal, and the smoke from the coke. So with the newly found technology, obviously they produced the iron bridge, and this was because of problems with the ferry crossing the river and having to transport people and materials, and problems with that, and problems with the weather specifically, especially during the winter. So an act in 1776 passed, and in 1779 it marked world history as being the first iron bridge to ever be made. The construction of the bridge will never fully be known. However, we do know that the molten iron rock was formed and placed into a sandpit bed, and pig iron was primarily used.
So I'm going to talk about the history of iron and steel bridges, and more specifically, the advancement in technology. So, as mentioned before, world's first cast iron bridge was in Coalbrookdale, 1779, and it was used to carry occasional light transport and pedestrians. Until 1840, the construction material used was either cast iron, wrought iron, or a combination of both. In the early 1800s, however, cast iron was beginning to be completely replaced by wrought iron, and it wasn't until the late 1800s that steel had begun to replace the wrought iron. And so in the 1900s, the steel bridge movement occurred, and wrought iron was no longer available. Steelmakers had moved to producing carbon steel, which was a much more reliable material. And from the 1950s and the 1980s, fabricators relied heavily on the crane to build steel bridges more quickly and in larger scale, such as the Golden Gate Bridge seen above. And so presently, the use of concrete and steel together has shown to be the economic ideal for lengths up to 65 meters. And bridges today show the advancements in technology and design. From the modest spans to the exciting cable and suspension bridges, steel has a wide appeal and is very strong.
All right, now I want to talk to you about the Brooklyn Bridge. The history of Brooklyn Bridge was finished in May of 1883. It is considered to be the most advanced engineering of the 1800s and is the largest bridge of its kind during that time frame. It costed $15 million to build, and it is thought to be an impossible task because of how busy the waterway was. The only solution to build the bridge was to build it high, so boats could pass underneath it, and it is the first wire and steel bridge in the world. To start, crews had to dig holes in the ground underwater to place the foundation for the 2 towers that were being built. After the towers were built, they suspended cables from they would suspend for the roadways. They would suspend cables from the towers, and it would support the whole roadways because they would attach those cable wires to the roadways, allowing it to be suspended above the water. And it was the bridge was so strong because it was one of the first to use steel as a bridge, and it was other bridges were made with iron, so they were a lot less durable. The tragedies on the bridge, though, is the lack of technology and the size of the Brooklyn Bridge project during that time frame was allowed for it to be a very dangerous build. There was 27 total fatalities recorded during the making of the bridge. Many of those deaths took place during the underwater process because they didn't have really good oxygen underneath water or anything like that. And also when they were hanging the cables, because they didn't have big cranes to lift and hoist those heavy cables, so the workers would end up falling along that they didn't have a good fall protection program, and they would not survive. As you can see, those guys are not tied off, they're just hanging on the wires right there. But to start closing out the bridges today, technology and methods have advanced building bridges greatly to the point where they allow more bigger and outrageous designs to be constructed. These advances have created larger, safer, quicker, and more cost-efficient jobs. Hopefully the next time you're in a car over a bridge, you have an idea of how a bridge was built. As you've seen here, this is the largest bridge in the world, the tallest bridge in the world. It's on the Milano Viaduct in France. Thank you.